What's up, everybody? Please like and subscribe, comment, and share on our videos. Grasshopper and the Bear. What up, Carlos Lobax? What's going down, brother?
Chilling, man. Good to be here. Happy to see you guys. What's happening, Javi?
Good to see you too, man. I'm Javier the Grasshopper.
I am the Bear. Kendrick, Carlos, what's going on?
Man, I got so much to talk to you about. Thanks for doing this. It's been a long time coming. I've been wanting you on this for like a year, bro. Like a year.
Yeah.
So
Finally,
you're a VIP, man.
I appreciate it.
Before I get into our history and then what you're doing now and your athletic fitness, sports rehab, sports medicine, capoeira, boxing journey, what are you doing right now, man? I don't want to disclose where you're at. That's your personal business, but what do you got going on right now, brother?
Well, right now I'm just chilling in Miami, actually, just hanging out, enjoying the sun and having some fun, and just kind of R&R right now, because I just have this really nice situation where I can be out here in Miami, and I'm going to be out here till like the 19th, so about a week more. And I'm just kind of just chilling. I'm actually starting a CPR course right now. So I'm starting an instructor CPR course where I can teach anybody CPR through the Red Cross. So that's what I'm starting right now. While I'm out here, I kind of took some time away from training and all that stuff. So I have a little more free time to start this new business.
Well, you look relaxed and refreshed, right, Kendrick?
Yeah, most definitely.
Hey, man, Kendrick, I think we need to get involved in the CPR thing. How'd you get involved with this, man? We're trying to go to Miami and teach CPR online.
Yeah, right?
How'd you get involved in this?
Yeah, hey, it's easy. I mean, the way I did it, I just went through I went through my certification, my sports medicine, my athletic training certification. So they provided a course that I could take at their national convention. And it was really easy, actually. It was just about an 8-hour course, and it just kind of dive into the depths of CPR and how I could teach a class. So instead of me just taking the class and learning CPR and doing all that type of stuff, it was more about how I could deliver CPR to people and get them to know, and pass the Red Cross's requirements for being CPR certified. But with that said, it's really easy to get CPR certified. You don't have to. You don't even have to do a hands-on. You could just do an online version of it if you don't need it for me, you, Javi, like we got to be in the gym. We have to be like legitimately certified. So we need to have somebody look at it, like watch us do it. And that's what my new little business is going to do is like, I can basically run CPR for HitFit if I wanted to. I could do a class for HitFit, certify everybody, and Red Cross is giving me that freedom right now. So it's pretty cool.
Well, you're about to have your first client, because I know I've been wanting me and my family here at home, just us, the general household, to know CPR in case of emergency. Yeah, so you might have your first client here, man, because it's a skill that you just, it's like life insurance or insurance. You got to have it, just in case.
It is. It's a necessity. And I was trying to think about like, what could I do business wise to keep myself from a recession-proof, pandemic-proof type business where I know that I can, like, doesn't matter, you're going to have to still keep this up. So I was like, let me try to think outside the box. And CPR came up and I was like, oh, I'm doing that for sure.
So Kendrick, Carlos I told you a lot about him, right? So he's all these things, man. He's worked for various professional sports teams. I'm sure he'll delve into that in a little bit, but he's been an athlete his whole life: basketball, boxing, capoeira later on, and sports rehab. He's a rapper. He's a musical artist. I mean, he's all these things. Kendrick, go ahead and ask away, man, because I've been talking to this guy for years. He's amazing. And go ahead. Any questions on all those different skills that he has besides his gift for the gab?
Carlos, so can I listen to me? Listen very carefully. Look at me, Carlos. I need you, man. I need you. Now listen. Not pretend Javi not here. Now I need you to listen. I want you to.
Did you take him?
I'm gonna put you. I'm gonna send you give me your cash app. I need your assistance now. Now you listen. Javi might not have told you this, but the reason why he stopped fighting MMA is because he dirty, man. He played dirty. He be kicking me in the balls all the time about this. About to go into this conversation. I need your help. So if I gotta pay you off, man, I'm gonna pay you off. Now, we were talking about genetics the other day, and he was yelling at me, and
good one.
And talking about how, I mean, genetics do play a part with certain things. But I've had a conversation with a guy a while back that he was saying, yeah, it's just not my genetics to have a six pack. When at the end of the day, having a six pack is just having your BMI, your body fat percentage, low enough to see your muscles. We all have a six pack. We could all have a degree of shredness, but it pertains mostly to lifestyle. How you live your life, what kind of food you eat first and foremost, and then your nutrition. There's no such thing as being big boned unless you Andre the Giant, who had that gigantism type deal, or your mini me where he has the dwarfism. But even the person that you see that's morbidly obese, huge, or someone that is really small and petite, it's unless they have like something hormonal going on, but for the most part, it's nutrition and training. We kind of agree, he and I, about genetics when it comes to athletes, how certain athletes just have an aptitude because of their genetics. Like, I know we all went to school with kids, or you guys may have been the ones that had the genetics to be great or just naturally athletic, whereas other people have to work a little harder for it. We agreed on that. And then we agreed on how certain people have the metabolism, they're just naturally faster, where they can eat a bunch of bull and they don't put on fat as quickly as what other people do because of the metabolism. With your extensive knowledge, with your extensive knowledge, I need you to be on my side. I need you to give your insight and expertise about these things that Javi has been yelling at me and beating me up about in secret.
So I would say, it's a good discussion, actually, because, body fat and, visible abs is one of the biggest drivers in the fitness world right now as it stands. I've been working for an app called OpenFit, which was part of Beachbody, and their number one class was abs and booty, or booty and abs, or whatever you want to say. So any class that said abs on it, people flock to it in droves. Any class that said booty on it, people flock to it in droves. So it's kind of interesting how people are really drawn to the idea of having six-pack abs, having nice abs. I think if you say you have a nice body, it means you have some form of visible abs. I do think that there's a lot more going on with the body than like we all understand. I do a lot of research on just like random stuff. Right now I'm putting together a pain presentation while I'm out here because I got the free time. So I'm like putting together this pain presentation as it relates to diet. So I'm literally diving into this subject, as we speak, and how pain can be more prevalent in certain diets versus less prevalent in other kind of diets. And it just so happens that the type of diet that you would want to be on that would help burn more fat and help create a healthier look for a person is going to be less painful also. So could Andre the Giant, that big guy, could he have gotten a visible six-pack? I remember he didn't really have a visible six-pack back then. But yeah, I mean, if you starve anybody, then all of a sudden you could see their muscles. That's 100% fact. Like, there's absolutely no way that if your caloric deficit is at a certain level, you will always see the muscular makeup of a human at a certain point. Now, is it going to be very, very challenging for that person to get to that point? Yeah, but if you ever watch this show called Alone, it's on Netflix. There's a show called Alone. You'll see visible abs in people where you're like, I didn't think I'd ever see visible abs in that person, because they lose 50, 60 pounds in the time they're out in this wilderness survival situation. And the only way that you can survive is by finding food and foraging for berries, and you don't get the luxury of being able to go down to 7-Eleven and buy a hot dog because
we gotta go to the wilderness, baby. We gotta go to the wilderness.
So the six pack will come on those people. You'll see them on those people after they've starved themselves for 60, 70 days and only been able to maybe eat a fish or two in 70 days. Like
Damn.
if you only ate one fish and tree bark and, you know,
Fish and tree bark, Ken. That's what we got to
insects,
do.
you know, you're gonna get a visible six pack in about a month or two, right? Because but it's unhealthy. It's completely unhealthy, right? So finding a healthy way to a six pack is very challenging. It's very challenging because it involves the right equation for your body and learning that equation and understanding that equation. If you're exercising heavily, then your diet can be a lot more bullshit, right? If like when you're exercising 5-6 times a day for 2-3 hours a day, and I'm sorry, 5-6 times a week for 2-3 hours a day, then you got freedom because your caloric balance is just out of whack. Like you're like, what's it, Michael Phelps, right? He was eating McDonald's and whatever he wanted, and his six pack and body was just ridiculous because of how much effort he was putting into his workouts. Now, the opposite goes true. Your diet has to be on point if you barely exercise. So for people who are in positions of, you know, they can't exercise, like they're injured. Like, let's say you're injured. Let's say you hurt your back. I know Javi hurt his back. I've hurt my back. I'm low backs. Like the back is a frustrating game. And when your back is hurt and, you know, you're in a frustrating situation where you can't work out like you normally would, then that's when your diet should kick in and you should be thinking about, okay, I need to be more aware of you know, how many calories I'm taking in, what kind of calories I'm taking in, all that type of stuff to maintain a six pack. Now, if you don't care and you're like, whatever, I don't care about my six pack, I want to enjoy my food while my back hurts, then have fun, enjoy life, whatever. You know, you get back, the back pain will go away, you get back to working out, and then all of a sudden everything will balance itself back out. But you know, it is a game. It is very challenging. It is not an easy, it is not a mathematical science. Because emotion comes into play so much. And that's part of the reason why I was researching the pain side of things. And there's a lot of really interesting information about how, you know, first of all, the perception of pain is amazing. Like how much we think we're in pain and how pain affects us is a major contributor to, you know, then the reason why we choose to eat this or we eat that, right? Like if you're in pain emotionally, you're going to be more drawn to certain types of foods that aren't going to help you have a six pack. And, you know, if you're in pain physically, you know, you need certain types of food to help your body process possibly the injury, the swelling, the things like that. And if you're not getting those types of foods, then you're prolonging the likelihood that you're in pain, which is some of the cool information that I just learned was that is high saturated fat, high fats, high fat diets will prolong pain. And so like if you're eating fried foods, if you're eating a lot of saturated fats, but if you're eating more of a Mediterranean diet and you're eating more like lower carbs, then it's gonna help decrease pain and help improve the way that your body manages pain in a nutshell, without me going into a bunch of details and stuff like that. But yeah, there's that.
Okay, I haven't.
Happy, did you hear what he said? He said, "I'm right." You hear that, Happy? He said, "I'm right." He said, "You need to." I heard him, Happy. He said for you to listen to me because I know what I'm talking about and to stop confusing me.
Hey, that's
Carlos,
why I talk
thank
to
you
you
so
almost
much
every
for that.
day to get this good information, bro. I don't.
Carlos,
You know?
I'm gonna hit your inbox, but I need your cash app. Thank you very much for your support. You know? I really appreciate that, brother. You know, Javi, he said, listen to me from now on. My man, Carlos, we related.
I believe you, Kendrick. Always, man. You're never doubted, bro. My book. Anyways, serious for real, Ken. Yeah, we were talking about this last night. That's where he's coming from. Carlos, a caveat to that, or a little addition onto that, what we were just talking about. This is just out of curiosity. Now Shannon Sharp, he's like in his 50s, mid 50s. We were talking about him yesterday. He's shredded. I don't know if he's shredded, but pretty shredded. He's jacked. He's strong. He looks healthy, virile. He looks like, you know, I mean, he just looks amazing, man. Obviously he takes care of himself. Obviously he still works out, but would you consider him genetically gifted?
Oh, for sure. Of course. I mean, like any any professional football player who's had a substantial career is athletically a gifted individual. Any professional athlete that's a known name is a freak of nature, just literally a freak of nature. And like, and there's a lot of them. I mean, I know a lot of them that didn't make it to the NFL, and they were still freaks of nature, but they just didn't make it, or they didn't make it to the NBA or whatever like that. But like, I mean, when you see a freak of nature, you're like, oh my God, this person is freaking. I actually got to work with James Jones, who played for the Green Bay Packers, and he went to San Jose State, and I taped his ankles, and I worked with him directly. I didn't train him or anything like that, but like I saw him on a regular basis, and I got to play basketball with him. Sometimes the football team would come down and just play basketball with the regular students at what we called the hack box at San Jose State, because everybody would just hack everybody. But it was an amazing situation. I mean, like the first of all, you got the football guys out there with 5 guys, and it's the football team, right? And then you got some regular guys jumping on the court trying to play with them. And I got to play with against James and some of the other guys who never want to go pro, but were Division I football players, so they're like freaks of nature, like. And James was unreal. He could jump up. He was about 6'1", like. He was just a little bit taller than me, just a little bit taller than me. And he could jump up and, the white box on the basketball hoop, right? Not the top of the backboard, but like the white box. He could jump up and touch above the white box. So his head was like here on the rim, because he would, and he would just, it wasn't like he would be like, I'm going to really try. It was just like, boing,
Boing.
boing.
Damn.
You just
I wish I had that.
So then he'd jump up for a layup, and he jumped from like the free throw line and hang in the air and just throw the ball. And it was just like, when you think about a football player, you don't always think about it in comparison to a basketball court, or you don't always think about an athlete relative to another sport that you may be a little bit more accustomed to. So for me to see this football player perform on the basketball court, just effortlessly doing the athleticism that, most people would train for years to even come close to have that effortlessness, was just like, holy, it was unreal to see. It was unreal to see. It was unreal to even imagine having that capacity. Cause for me, like, I can barely touch the bottom of the net, and he's over here just boing and just touching the top of the backboard, touching the top of the box. And I'm like, man, what is, it's just genetics. It's just like this dude, and then on top of that, shredded, just
Red City,
just like, and clearly doesn't really have to work for it. Clearly didn't have to. It wasn't something. I mean, he worked out. I'm not trying to take away from his hustle. He was a hard worker. He worked out. He did those things, but so did a lot of other people. They worked out hard. They did that. They did what he did, but he just was athletically just gifted. I was watching Coach Edge at HitFit a few years back, training one of the former 49ers players. Can't remember his name. He's from the Bay Area. He's the one that got in trouble quite a bit here and there, unfortunately. Alden Smith?
Yeah, he was training, Edge was training Alden Smith in the ring on the pads. And I was watching it, and you could tell Alden Smith was new to boxing, but I was watching him move and just how quickly he was picking it up in one session. I was like, this is ridiculous. Not only is this guy's stature just tremendous compared to us, nice guy too, by the way, met him briefly, nice guy. Just the speed and the agility he had throwing the punches with not even good form. Imagine with good form. And I was thinking, man, this dude doesn't even need boxing. The only thing that would save me from this dude, if he was trying to kill me, would be my boxing, if he didn't know any. If this guy learns boxing, he could like take over the block with his size and athleticism. I was like, it was crazy to watch.
And yep. And that's what Bones Jones is that guy, right?
Bones Jones.
Yeah, that's that guy. I met him a long time ago, before he was famous, right before he beat Brandon Vera, or is that right?
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Long time ago, before he beat him, Vera was signed by TRX, and I was working for TRX back in the day.
A long time ago.
And so I sat down and had a drink with Bones and his girl at the time. I don't know if they're still together, But I was like, so you think you're gonna beat Brandon Vera? You know, I just got to ask him directly. He was like,
Easy.
he was like, are you? He looked at me like I was like, he looked at me like something was wrong with me. And I
And
was
at
like,
the time, Brandon Vera was one of the top dogs. He still is, but just at that time, he
yep,
was like the Bones Jones kind of.
yep. He was the man. And so that's why we
Man.
signed him to TRX, because he was the guy. And so, you know, we put the TRX symbol on his shorts, and, you know, he had the TRX on his banner when he came out and all that type of stuff. So we sponsored him. And right after that fight, oh man, you know what happened with that fight. Jones just owned him. It was easy for him. And then when I saw that, I was just like, damn, this dude is legit. Because the way he was talking about, he was like, I'm gonna be the greatest fighter that's ever existed. He was saying that before he even beat Brandon Vera. So
Muhammad Ali stuff right there.
yeah, it really was. It was some trippy stuff, and it was. I got a picture with him a long time ago. I look like a dork because we was having a good time, but it was a very eye-opening experience to work with somebody who mentally knew what he was capable of. Like he knew, like, you know, whereas, you know, the guy James Jones from San Jose State, I don't think he knew what he was capable. I don't think he had that confidence. He just had that athleticism. Whereas Bones, he knew what he was capable of. And yes, he did have the athleticism, but he also knew how to use it. And that's why I think, you know, the mental component of life is just so important for us to take into consideration, like understanding what your capacities are, understanding what you're capable of, and then challenging yourself and pushing yourself to be a little bit better. It all makes huge differences in the way that we approach, you know, our sports, our relationships, just everything is so interesting to see.
Actually, something came to mind when you guys were talking about John Jones, and I want both of your opinions on this. Carlos, you're a guest in the house, so I want you to answer first. You may have touched on it when you were speaking about him earlier. Forgive me if you did, because I did. You were speaking about certain things. Maybe if you could even go a little deeper with the specifics on it. What do you think makes John Jones as good as he is? And then Javi, I want you to also answer the question in terms of what do you think it is about John Jones in particular? Because I mean, I'm not super versed on MMA, but I remember hearing people say, dude is a phenomenon. He's you know, just speaking very highly of him, the aptitude that he has, just how dangerous he is. And again, I'm curious, Carlos, from your perspective and opinion, what makes him what he is, and Javi, from your perspective and opinion, what, because I know you both are going to have unique opinions about it. And Javi, you being a former fighter yourself, you're going to have a very unique perspective as well. So that when Carlos was talking about John Jones, that kind of just popped into my mind. So Carlos, if you would, then Javi, you.
Well, honestly, I think one of the things that is not talked about enough is humans with reach. When you have long reach and long limbs and a small body, you, like Kevin Durant, you have an advantage in most sports, in most of our modern day sports. I'd say baseball might be the only one where you're not actually like really going to excel as easily, but maybe not as a hitter, but as a pitcher, you would. Like Randy Johnson was a huge pitcher, long arms. He had whip. He could whip his arm. So I think one of the advantages that John Jones has is his length. And you can't teach length, but you can obviously capitalize on it. And because he's a high level athlete, you know, just like any of these other guys who are in the ring with him, they're all high level athletes, not to take away from that. But what gives Jones his advantage is I think is his reach, his bone structure, like literally his gift, you know, the guy from San Jose State, his gift was his springiness, his explosiveness, his sprinting, he could outrun the DBs. He was really fast and he could catch. His hand-eye coordination was insane. But would John Jones do as well as a wide receiver in the NFL? I don't know. But what would he have? He'd have the length to reach up over people like Randy Moss and people, things like that. So just in terms of why is he so good, in my opinion, it's hugely related to his reach. And And that's not even going to talk about his mental space. His mental space is crazy. And I mean, if I just got to pick one, I'll pick the reach, but I could go into his mental space because I talked with him about a lot of the things going on. Because his brothers, he has very successful athletic brothers. And
yeah, they're both in the NFL and they're both
Yeah.
really, really good.
right. And he was the younger one. So,
The
you
runt.
know, yeah. The runt.
The runt of Twitter. And he's one of the
Come
greatest
on.
of all time in mixed martial arts. So
Right. So, yeah, you talk about the mental space that a person has to be in when you have older brothers who are professional athletes. If I had an older brother who was a professional athlete, I would have pushed myself a lot harder. I say that for sure.
Okay. And that plays into our competitive nature as men, I would think.
Definitely. I mean, like if you have a direct peer, you know, it's different. Like it's different when you have people you see on your journey. That's a whole different thing. Like, oh, that guy's amazing. But that's not my friend. That's not my brother. That's not my comrade. I don't know him like that. But he's amazing. I give him credit, but I'll never be like that because I didn't have the same things that he had. But when you have the same things as somebody and someone is excelling, it pushes you way harder mentally. There's absolutely no way you're not gonna, like if you come into a group class and you're in a boot camp for like 8 weeks and you start seeing somebody next to you doing better than you, even though when you started, you guys were both doing the same, that's going to piss you off a little bit. Like it hurt your ego a bit. You know, you're not going to just be okay with that when you were both on the same level to start. And now all of a sudden this person is coming up a little bit more. You can see they're doing more push-ups than you, or maybe they're getting that certain move down better than you. And you're like, nah, you know what? Nah. You might even go practice that move outside of the boot camp. You know, you may go practice that, or you may talk about how you're good at it to your friends, even though you're not better than so-and-so at the thing. You may have to compete with other people who you think aren't as good as you to feel more validated because so-and-so is better than you in the boot camp, right? And that you may never catch that person, but it's going to push you to be more competitive with everybody else around you. And that's one of the insights that I've noticed with sport that is hands down one of the best ways to motivate somebody is to make them feel like they're not adequate enough and they have to push themselves harder. So did Jones feel like that growing up? Yeah, you bet he felt like that growing up.
Carlos, I'll tell you what. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I tell you what, I submit this to you before Hobby goes into it. It's interesting. I believe 110% what you're saying. And I don't know if there's something that we as athletes and brothers in the martial arts, I think it's something about that to be said for us in that feeling, in that competitiveness and wanting to challenge ourselves, because I submit to you this, we all know people, or we may even have people within our own families that don't do the things that we do on the level that we do them. And they don't compete with us, they're jealous of us.
Right.
I feel like, and I feel like, it's just my opinion, I feel like us being athletes or us being martial artists, it's something within us that causes us to respond the way that you were just saying, in terms of it makes us want to be better. You know, it makes us push ourselves harder, you know, because of us being a part of that family. I think it's just something that we gain in being that, because again, we know people either within our circle, with our families, or we know people that may excel at something, a particular skill, and they have people that are their siblings that don't decide to challenge themselves. They decide for whatever reason to be jealous of that person or to speak down about that person. And I feel like that's an interesting aspect of it as well. And, you know, like I said before, Hobby goes into his thing, how do you feel about that particular caveat?
Was that for Carlos or me? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I was saying before Hobby goes into his, Carlos, how do you feel about that particular caveat that I submitted to you?
Oh, about the jealousy and stuff like that?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir.
It's just, yeah. It's a human quality, you know. It really is a human quality. Like regardless of whether you want to acknowledge it or not, I feel like we all have those moments of feeling that same sensation, and either we rise to either we let that sensation push us to be a better person or to get better at that, or we let it kind of hold us down to where we decide that we're not good at something and we're just never going to try it. You know, like I know that, you know, I have a younger brother, and I feel like there were moments when, you know, I felt like he was never jealous, but he just wouldn't try to do certain things. I'm like, why don't you do this? And he didn't want to do it. And I felt like partly because I was good at it. So if I was good at it, he didn't want to do it. You know,
I know exactly what you mean personally.
you know, and that was something that I felt I would be kind of disappointed of, because I'm like, but you could be better than me, you know. And his attitude was like, that's your thing, not my thing.
That's
I'm
what
like,
I told my brother, and my brother would say that. I told my brother, you could be better than me. And I knew what I was talking about, because to this day, I knew what I was talking about when I said that back then, because we know talent, right? We can see talent.
Right.
Us being trainers, we can see talent when we see it, and athleticism. My brother's more athletic than me. You can't tell by looking at him, but he was more athletic. He's a basketball player. He was a very good one. And this and that. He did boxing. He learned so much faster than me when he was training boxing in Oakland. When he was young, though, he's like 14, 15. But I told him that, and sorry to interrupt the story, but he would respond the same way you just said. And I'm not talking bad, I'm not being negative. I'm just saying I've experienced that as well. And I just couldn't believe it. But maybe it's what Kendrick was saying, that it's something separate that's inside of us individually, that we don't respond with that. We respond with, okay, I want to take that jump, or I want to compete, or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, to me, it's an interesting quality, because I feel like when you add that, you add that mentality with the athletic or the gift of being able to move, then you have a successful, you know, athlete, you know, every time. You know, if someone has the mental space to, instead of being jealous of somebody or feeling like less than them, if they feel like I'm going to get better than them, then that. So my journey was when my brother was an all city linebacker and a state competitive wrestler.
Nice.
He was a fantastic athlete, and
Nice.
you know, he could have went further with football if he wanted to, but he was just more worried about his brain. Good, I'm glad he did, because the things going on with this CTE is horrible. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but that's a good topic to have to talk about.
Going on right here, right now, actually.
Yeah, we all got it. If we took blows, then we got CTE. It's just on how much of a level or not. But there's a lot of brain science research on that type of stuff, which is fascinating. But yeah, I mean, my brother, you know, he was a fantastic athlete. He was super good. He was getting shredded in high school when he was younger than me. And I was like so inspired by him to push myself to be a better version of myself. So instead of like trying to stop him, you know, I just was like, nah, you know what? I'm fucking up. I'm not being at my capacity. Look at my brother. If anything, I could be just as good as him at whatever. So I need to step my game up and start working harder myself. And so he inspired me often, and I would just and it was funny, because if I was playing basketball, or I started doing boxing, or I started doing capoeira, or I started doing whatever I was doing, he'd be like, oh no, that's you. But so he went football and he went wrestling, right? So he went similar, but his own path.
Right.
But he didn't want to follow me. He didn't want to go basketball. And he's taller than me. He could have went further with basketball if he let me teach him. I was like, you could be a way better basketball player than me. You could do this and that. But, you know, and I don't know, I don't know why certain people's minds are the way they are. That's if we figure that out, we figure out a lot of things. But that is just what it is. It's the human quality.
Ted, I just want to say this. We can see greatness in people, and we can want good things for people, but unless they see it for themselves and they want it for themselves, what can you do? So I just want to throw that in, Javi. Please, by all means.
That's a good one, brother. That's a good one.
Thank you.
100%.
By all means, please.
I love those. That's good. Yeah, so John Jones, I think what Carlos said, I got to piggyback off that. Reach. Whenever his toughest fights were guys that were similar in his height and length. Those were his toughest fights. You know, guys who had similar reach, similar height, similar length. So, but I think it's a combination of his mentality, his upbringing. He's got some kind of, like Mike Tyson, he's got some kind of, I don't know what you call killer instinct that his upbringing developed somehow, you know, that he's just got that. You need that killer instinct as a fighter, especially to be a champion, you know. He's got it in droves. And then obviously his athleticism, growing up with two highly athletic older brothers couldn't have hurt. And then the sport that he took up and majored in was wrestling. And wrestling is the most useful martial art of MMA. So then that's the sport that he became a champion in. So wrestling's the most important base martial art for MMA. And then that happened to be his base in fighting. So along with his athleticism, his reach, picking up striking and jujitsu the way he has, I mean, he's just one of the greatest of all time, most dominant. He's just, if we're talking about being a combat sports athlete, yeah. So I think it's those things. I want to ask Carlos. Carlos, I keep bringing it up, like I was bringing up earlier. I find it very interesting, your take on the sport of boxing, the sport of capoeira, because you came into those things, and as far as I know, not with like a martial arts background or a deep martial arts background. You're an athlete, you're a very intelligent young man, and you just went into those. You're already an expert in your fields, and then you went into boxing and took it up from scratch. You fought in boxing, and then you took up capoeira from scratch. And if I could get some of I know we don't have all day, but I'd love to hear your take on your experience in boxing. You've spoke about it before. I find it interesting, your take, and then also your take on your experience with capoeira. Boxing first, if you could. Just anything that stands out. It could be random.
Yeah, no, man.
You actually went in there and did that.
Yeah. Well, one of the big reasons why I wanted to do boxing was because of the professional side, where I wanted to be able to actually speak and teach on it. I felt like an ass. Like, honestly, I felt like an ass being like, I know how to teach someone boxing because I'm a good mover. I could see, oh yeah, you got to do it like this, and you got to throw a jab like that. You got to throw it straight like that. But I didn't ever experience boxing. I wasn't a boxer. I never got my butt whooped in the ring or whooped on somebody in the ring in any capacity. I had never really experienced what a fight was like. So, when I was at TRX and I was working, we were signing MMA athletes, and I was going to get the opportunity to work with those athletes. So I was like, well, I got to know what it's like, to be in the ring. I got to know. So that was a heavy motivator for me to learn, just what it's like to compete in a fight, instead of it be a street fight. I've been in many street fights, and that always goes my way. But, a boxing match, the biggest thing that I could take about boxing is it doesn't matter if you're an athlete in boxing. You can be more athletic than the guy you're fighting, and he could beat the trash out of you, because it's a technical sport. It is not just an athletic sport, where, you might look at, Bones Jones and his genetics, his athleticism gives him an advantage. It gives him a huge advantage. So much so that I think that's one of the reasons why he's good. But he's also a technically sound fighter. And that's the part that you got to understand. Even if his arms weren't as long as they are, even if his limbs, even if he was probably like 5'11", he would still be a good fighter, like a really good fighter. Like, would he have won as much as he does right now? Probably not, because he doesn't have that length that he can lean on that saves him at times. But would he have been a phenomenal fighter? Yes, he would have been a phenomenal fighter at 5'11". He still would have been fantastic because he's technically sound. And that's the part that I didn't understand, jumping into boxing. I was like, well, my athleticism is going to save me. My ability to move is gonna save me. But when you're nervous, when the nerves hit you, when the crowd is around, which I didn't anticipate, when there's other things going on, and you now have to rely on that kind of that automatic training, that innate kind of like consistency that you've built over years of learning how to be good at this movement patterns, at this and understanding the ins and outs of the sport itself. Like, if you have years on that, I could see that I would have done a lot better in certain ways. And once I got that fight under my belt, I was like, oh my God, this is so much easier now, because my mind is now at ease in the sport, and I understand the technical parts. Don't reach right there. Don't lean like that. Nope, don't do that. That's how you get caught. But you don't know that unless you get caught. You don't really. You can say it, you can talk about it, but that was one of the biggest call outs for me, was like how important it is to understand the technical components of the sport. Basketball, Like, yeah, we can talk about the technical components of the sport, but if you're athletic, you can just bypass them, like, yeah, sure, great. Don't double dribble. Like, yeah, okay. But like when someone is super athletic with basketball, a lot of things can be thrown out the window. With boxing, no, it doesn't matter. You could be bouncing around the ring, all athletic and stuff like that, trying to find your shots and stuff like that. But if the other person is really knows what they're doing, they're gonna whoop you. They're gonna whoop you bad, and you're gonna be like, "What is going on?" And you're gonna be mad, and you're gonna be frustrated, and then that's gonna take you out of your space, your mental space, and you're gonna try to throw some crazy. I mean, the best example of that is Nate Robinson fighting Jake Paul, or the Paul brother. Nate Robinson was just like, I'm an athlete. I could beat him. I'm an athlete. And that's, it's a logical approach to it from a basketball player's perspective, because that's what he was able to lean on as a basketball player, was his insane athleticism. And Nate Robinson is a phenomenal athlete, like
crazy athlete.
But it doesn't matter in a boxing ring. And that was the biggest call out for me in my boxing journey. But then to go into capoeira, right? So then capoeira was this, like, oh my God, it was like this shining light of movement for me that just changed my entire approach to everything. And I knew that it would. And I sought you out, Javi, because you had the capoeira background. You were the only person in that gym that had capoeira background. And you just happened to be cousins with my best friend, which was super freaking random. And I was like, that was craziest thing that had ever happened. I was like, I've never had a trainer before in my life. You were my only trainer, the only person who I ever hired as a trainer.
Remember when you told me, Carlos, remember when you told me, Kendrick, check this. One day after we've been doing capoeira for months privately, Carlos came up to me and said, Javi, I owe you, man. I go, what do you mean? He's like, I was standing on the corner outside, and he just showed me how he was standing, and his hips were extended and his feet were pointing outwards and his knees were outwards. He was just, I can't do it right now, but he can explain it better. But he said, I haven't been able to just stand outside like this with my hips kind of flexing, turned outwards in forever. Thank you, man. Thank you. It's the capoeira. I was like, what? I was like, okay.
Yeah, man. The capoeira was like, I knew that there were things that I didn't know, and like a lot of times when I dive into things like boxing was, I don't know what I don't know, so getting in that ring showed me all of the things I didn't know. And I would have never learned that had I not jumped in the ring. Like Javi would have preached it to death. You got to do this. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Shut up, Javi. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
And Kendrick, he was piecing people up in sparring. I mean, he's talking about the actual fight in front of a crowd, which is always tougher, harder. But him sparring, man, I saw him piece up so many people who have been boxing longer than him, because he's good. It's fast. He's good.
I could rely on my athleticism in the sparring because it was a lot easier for me in that capacity. But when it came time to like really understand, I'm about to fight this person, I got nervous. And in my nerves, your athleticism is gone because you're stiff and your body doesn't respond as quickly and as naturally. So it was a lot harder. But once I got that good hit, then I loosened up and I was like, all right, I get it,
Right.
But with capoeira, it changed all of that because capoeira made me looser. It made me even more looser. It made me more feel more like just agile and yet explosive. And the even cooler part was the rhythmic part, where you learn to kind of feel the rhythm and the momentum that you're creating with the rhythm that gives you like leverage in, like, if I step here, I know I can push there and go here. And boxing can be a lot more rigid. And when you can combine the two of those, when you start to understand how you can fluidly move in a technical boxing way, oh my God. So after we did capoeira, then my sparring went and my boxing went into like just insane mode. It was like, wow. I never did a fight after that, but I should have done another fight. But I didn't want to get my ass beat again. But it was like,
good, you did really good. You got the courage, man. That's all that matters, man. You showed
and that was an eye-opening experience. It was fantastic. But the capoeira for me opened up everything. and made things so much more accessible. Any movement that I was looking for, anything that, you know, I wish I had been doing capoeira my whole life once I started to reach these places with movement that I had never thought I would be capable of. And it was really simple stuff, but it was not movement patterns that I did in a regular basis. It was not movement patterns and using my joints in ways that I normally would use my joints. And that is what opened them all up, which is why I could stand like comfortably on the corner and then like have an epiphany, like, oh shit, I'm standing in a way that that usually is uncomfortable, or I usually would feel my back, or I'm usually leaning to the side. And I felt very centered, very grounded, and like that changed a lot for me. And I have chronic back pain. That's what really started my fitness journey. Was I was young, I was super aggressive with the weights and working out, and thinking that the heavier I go, the better I'll be. And I'm trying to compete with, you know, when I was a competitive athlete, everything was competition to me. Like, if you could squat more than me, nah, fuck that, I'm gonna squat more than you. And it didn't matter whether or not I had technique, whatever, it's all about heart. Like, that's how I looked at everything, was just it's about heart. Like, no matter what you do, it's all about heart. It's not about technique. Technique is a waste of time. You know, my young, immature mind was just fixated on my aggression and my testosterone running through my body, giving me that aggression that I could just be like, I could beat anybody. And it got me really far. I mean, like, it got me really far. It was just, you know, being young, virile, and aggressive. And that's when you see people succeed, often that's the reason why they're succeeding. Conor McGregor, you know, a lot of the guys in the fight world, you know, are succeeding based on the attitudes that I had when I was young. If I had gotten into fighting, you know, I probably would have been really, really good if I had gotten into fighting at my younger age. But MMA wasn't a thing when I was, I mean, you were a pioneer, you know, essentially, because people weren't doing it like the way you were doing it, and to have the resume you have, like at the time you had it, that's unreal. Like, most people didn't even touch that stuff back then. Now everybody does it, but you did all that stuff before it was cool, you know, before it was, you know, in, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, but for me to see like my capabilities and my ability to compete, and I was a high level competitive person, and no matter who was in front of me, I knew I could get, you know, basketball wise, I was really good. Like, I could beat most people. I could outplay most people on the court. Like, it wasn't really, San Jose State wanted me to play for them, but I didn't want to play because I understood how it was going to take away from my ability to get a degree. And I knew that although I was good, it was going to take me out of my soul. It was going to change my person to push myself into trying to play professionally. It was going to change I knew that I would be better off, and it would be smarter decision for me to get my degree and get educated and get a job and do that, versus just sacrifice everything for a sport that could eventually deteriorate to a point where I have nothing. Then I'd be like, what do I have then? I have no backup plan. Like, most of these athletes, most of them don't have a backup plan, and they fall onto Home Depot, or, you know, they fall into a place where they got to go get a job that they don't want. And they don't understand that they could have made better decisions to push themselves and have a fallback. As much as I wanted to continue to play basketball, my back injury slammed me back. And that's what then propelled me into where I'm at right now, which I'm grateful for, because I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of longevity with this, and I'm learning new stuff every day. And it's really exciting to understand and see, you know, just the movement world is just so exciting to me, and understanding the human capacity. I hope one day I'll be able to be able to coach somebody, you know, like a Customato did Tyson, or like basically like a Steve Kerr is doing Steph Curry, you know, have the ability to have this really big perspective of sport and movement and training, and then be able to apply that to somebody who's mentally in that space that we were talking about, where they don't get defeated and they don't get jealous. They just get hungrier and they get more aggressive. And it's hard to find that. I doubt that. I mean, it's a highly unlikely reality that you ever find that. I mean, Customato found Tyson, but what's a 1 in a million situation, like 1 in a billion situation, like that the guy who could do it found the right guy to do it. You know what I mean? So, but you know, at the same time, I've always wanted to, one of the things that I found about life is like, when you're a kid, I wanted to meet me when I was 10 years old. I wish I had met me when I was 10 years old. And that's the thing that I wanted to be, was the person that I needed when I was 10 years old. And I wish that I had the ability to meet me at 10 years old. And if I do meet me at 10 years old, I will know exactly what to do with him. And I hope that he will be able to see me for being that person also. But that's what I think Customato and Tyson was. You know, I think that's what Customato was like, damn, if I was Tyson, I would want all this. And Tyson was like, man, if I was able to learn, this is the man that's going to teach me how to get me out of, you hear Tyson talk about Customato like he was Jesus, you know what I mean? And that's, to me, that's one of those, just, it's a symbiotic relationship when the coach and the peer, you know, is like,
and the peer's got to listen to everything the coach says. That's what Tyson did. A lot of people, sometimes even people we train or train with, we tell them what to do, and they're like, sometimes they're not totally 100% don't buy in, or they'll start doing cardio after you're done training them when you told them they're done. You know what I mean? And I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just saying, like, it's important to listen. That's how you get better, especially when you have a coach or a trainer for a reason. You know what I mean? Like my coach in Lock Elma, I never question her 1 second. If she told me, Javier, today's training, when she was training me, you got to go around Hip Fit and climb the back of the wall and go onto the roof and start doing your kicks up there for an hour, then come back down, I would have done it. I'm not kidding, bro. I swear to God. You know me, Carlos. I would have done it without asking.
Yep.
But that's not everybody, you know.
It's not. It sucks because it's not, and that's why it takes that, like, that good connection, that good, like, I don't know. It's just 1 in a million type things. But I want to prepare myself for that. That'd be a dream come true in a lot of ways.
That's an awesome dream.
But it would be dependent. Do I think it's gonna happen? I don't think it's gonna happen, but I hope it does.
Well, I think 2 things with what Javi was just saying. Actually, number one, I have to pay respect and homage to my big brother in the martial arts, Javier Mackay in Capoeira. Carlos, you had no idea who you were talking to. You asked this man to train you. This is Javier Mackay, man. This is Gafanyoto. This is a grasshopper, man. This dude, Carlos, he is still a legend, and he was a legend even then. This dude, men wanted to be him, and women wanted this dude because he was so tremendously talented, so admired, so loved, so respected, and feared. And his personality, his charm, his charisma was only matched, if not theoretically superseded, by his abilities in capoeira. So it's just one of those things, man, where you never know who you're talking to when you're out and about in the world, you know, and that says a lot about him, in my opinion, that you were able to approach him and say, hey, man, will you train me capoeira, you know, and you not knowing the regard or the level of where this man had been, you know what I'm saying? We have no idea who we talking to or who we dealing with, man, you know, so that's a blessing to hear that from you. And also going back to what you guys both were talking about earlier, with like Customato, for an example, as Steve and Steph Curry, you can have a good team. And Javi touched on it with Coach Islanka as well. You know, you can be a good teacher, you know, a good teacher instructor, but it also takes having a good student. Okay, even in romantic relationship with women, you know, and we as men, we have to be a student of one another, being willing to learn. Javi said, Dave, she said, go on top of the roof and train your kicks for an hour, he would do it. And being a good student in any regard will make you great. In my experience, and what I've observed, you know, being a good student, man, so much you can accomplish because you're willing to learn. You come in, you're ready for action. You do as you're told. You trust the process, and you flourish. You know what I mean? So,
Carlos, thank you, Kendrick, for that, man. Thank you, man. Love you, brother.
you're welcome. Love you too.
Kendrick seen me in some of my highs for sure, in my element, and I was big in the early 2000s, man. I was big in the still am, but back then especially. But yeah, Kendrick seen me in my element, the Hodas of Capoeira and the Hodas of life, Carlos. So he knows.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kendrick. Yeah, man. But Carlos was an incredible student with me. That's why he advanced so fast in Capoeira, boxing too, but especially in Capoeira, he advanced so fast because he's a willing student, Kendrick. Like you said, it takes a willing student. Carlos never questioned one thing that we did. He was just like, okay. And that's it. He just did it. And he progressed so fast for various reasons, but I think a lot because he's just a willing student and he just used teachers say, Miyagi said it best, teachers say, student do, no question. I mean, that's true, man, right there. But Carlos, we don't want to keep you too much longer. We got to go soon. I know you have you have some nice sunshine and to get into it, and Kendrick's got things to do as well. But I appreciate all you guys being on here today. Carlos, I'd just like to fit one more question and maybe one more question for my brother Kendrick. Just want to learn from you, bro. I've been trying to get you on this podcast for a year, and I consider you someone I consider a friend. That's just a testament to how talented and intelligent and knowledgeable I think you are. So I'm so happy and blessed to have you on here today, man. I've been trying for the longest. And but I want to ask you, so a lot of people who know you now or have known you before, there's so much they don't know you. Just, it's like Kendrick said earlier, you don't know someone sometimes, just by appearance or just by talking to them, their talent, their experiences. A lot of people don't know that you fought in boxing, that you've trained boxing. A lot of people don't know that you've trained capoeira. A lot of people don't know you've went with me to go train in capoeira seminars with legends. You've really done your work and research. You're an avid student as well as being an expert in your field. You're also very musically gifted. You rap, you make music. So what I'm trying to say is, before I go, what's something that people don't know about you that you would like them to know? Okay, let's get into the man of Carlos Teasdale.
Okay, that's a really good question. What do I want people to know that they don't know about me?
Could be any of those things I mentioned too. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that a good answer to that would be more so that what people don't know, what people don't understand, I feel like maybe understand about me, because I feel like this isn't common in most people, is that I don't waste my time saying things that I don't do. Like I'm going to do the things that I say. So if one of the qualities that I feel like I have that people don't always understand is like with boxing, like I didn't just say I was gonna be a boxer. I went and became a boxer, and now I can speak on boxing. I wanted to learn what capoeira was going to do for me, and it exceeded my expectations, even though my expectations were immense. I had high expectations for capoeira, and it exceeded my expectations. But it wouldn't happen had I not done it, had I not, experienced it. Now I don't need to go back, and I don't need to be a boxer. I don't need to like go have a professional boxing career to understand what it's like to get beat up and then like I think I lost the first round, and then I kind of got myself together the second round, and I won the third round. But like if I could put that that was a microcosm of a moment, but to me it was macro, because it was like that's the epitome of boxing right there. Like what I experienced, I'm glad for my experience, because I kind of lost and won all at the same. I could see how it would feel to do all of that. So if I get an opportunity where I can see the big picture of something, then I can speak on it. I can speak on it. And otherwise I'm not speaking on it. I'm not speaking on anything that I don't know. But if I do know it, then I speak on it, and I speak heavily on it, and I don't back down about the things that I say. But with that, I do realize like the world and the universe and this life is just, there's so much you don't know. And because there's so much I don't know, it pushes me to always be a student, always be interested in learning more. And I'm always trying to learn whether, and as much as I might, you know, like with boxing, I feel like I know a lot. Like, I don't feel like I know more than Javi. I don't feel like I know more than Cole. I don't feel like I know more than Simon or any of like the boxers that I'm around, but I do know a lot about boxing, and I'm not going to back down to something when I do know about it. Now, am I going to say that I'm better than somebody or this? No, there's a lot more that I can learn. There's a whole lot more that I can learn. And there's a lot more that I need to learn if I was to dive into this avenue of life. But in the avenue that I'm in the space that I'm in, I feel like I feel confident about the things I can talk about. So with that said, like, essentially what I want people to understand about me that I feel like a lot of people don't probably understand is that I am constantly a student, and I'm way more intellectual than I feel like people think. Because I'm so physical, a lot of people think that I'm just this physically gifted individual. And it's just like, no, most of the things that I have physically, I've basically studied for. You know, it's like I've been practicing and learning how to move my body my whole life. And I've been practicing and learning how to, you know, be healthy and understand the differences between me feeling unhealthy and me feeling healthy. I've been practicing and learning how to be pain-free my majority of my life now. Like, I hurt my back when I was 22, and it's been a challenge to stay pain-free, you know, where my back is not hurting. Different, but it's not that I've like just figured it out. It's this thing that's like I constantly need to be a student. And so one of the things that, like, I think the biggest takeaway for me in life has been, you know, the more you know you don't know. You know, that like, the more you learn, the more you realize, like, man, I don't know that much about anything, you know, like, and that's been one of the biggest eye openers for me. And so when it comes to somebody, the more you know about somebody, the more you learn about Javi, the more it's like, damn, I didn't know that about Javi. So there's like so much more to learn about somebody. So when I think I know somebody, you know, you don't always know somebody. And that's one of the things that I'm learning about life in general. And that's one thing I want people to understand about me is like, the more you think you know me, the more there is to know about me. And the more the reality of, you know, experiencing the reality of a student, like being a student, to me is the best part of life. Like, learning is the best part of life. Understanding that you don't know things and accepting that, and then growing from your ignorance into a space of subtle and, you know, intellect. Like I say with boxing, like, I know a little bit about boxing. I know enough to talk on it, but am I an expert? No way. But I know that I'm not an expert. If I was more ignorant, I would say I was an expert, because I'm ignorant, because I don't know that I don't know, right? But when you learn a little bit, then you learn to kind of like, and I feel like that's the best part of me. That's the best part of who I am. And that's the most, like, that's the one part that I feel like a lot of people don't perceive in me, because they think that I'm just like a know-it-all or something like that. I feel a lot of people like have different attitudes about me in certain ways. And I try my best to portray the student as much as I can, not just say that I want to be a student, but portray that I am learning along there with you in this process of life, not just, you know, but when I know something, I feel like I gotta tell people, I gotta get it out. I gotta get that knowledge to the masses. And that's one of my passions, is to tell people about the things that I've learned, because I feel like that's the essence of humanity, is the elders tell the youth. And when it comes to my music, when it comes to, you know, Capoeira is a great example of, you know, the community. You preach to the young, you tell your stories, and it's in music, it's in movement, it's in dance. And that's how humans have always kind of like, or the cool humans have always portrayed and passed on the important information, is through music, is through dance, and learning that part of Capoeira has changed the way that I approach music. Like Javi said, like, Capoeira makes you better at everything. and nothing makes you better at capoeira except more capoeira. And I was like, this is the greatest reality. Like, but people don't understand that shit. You know, a lot of people aren't open to understanding, aren't open. They're not students. A lot of people are not students. A lot of people are not open to learning and accepting that they don't know things and accepting that they're not intelligent on this subject or that subject. So instead, they default to something that's like, you know, frustration or anger or dismissal. And they're like, nah, you know, whatever. He don't know what he's talking about. Da, 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 da. But instead, we could all just
about that a lot too. He brings that up too, the same thing what you're talking about. Yep.
which is what?
People are not good students, and right, Kendrick? People just they think they know it all about something, even if they know hardly nothing.
Hardly nothing. And so the thing about being a student to me is like, Javi, you got to see me as a student. You know, you got to see me, you got to coach me, and you got to understand the side of me that respected, you know, that respects the reality that there's a person in front of me who knows more than I do. And I need to listen to what they say, and I need to respect what they say. I might not agree with what they say. I might not want to do what they say, but I respect their position and their history with this situation. So I may not understand what somebody is trying to say because they're not saying it the way that I want them to, but I understand that they're trying to get me to understand something that I don't know right now. And that's, to me, one of the better qualities of me, is that I don't dismiss someone because I don't understand what they're saying initially, because my vocabulary or my ability to perceive things is different than their ability to present them, right? So someone might present something and I don't digest it. So a lot of people, when they don't digest what someone's presenting, they dismiss it. That person doesn't know what they're talking about. That person is stupid. They're not as smart as me, because they're not saying it the way that I want to hear it. But the problem is like, if this person has more years, has more experience than you do, then what they're saying may not be how you want to hear it. But what they're saying is they're trying to get you to understand something you don't understand. So if you're not open to the reality of recognizing that this person who has more experience than you, has more knowledge than you, is saying something to you, just because you don't understand it, it doesn't mean that they're not saying something valuable. It doesn't mean that there's not immense value in what they're trying to present to you and what they're trying to get you to understand. And that's one of the biggest things, because as a coach, I realize I say certain things to my clients, to the people that work with me, and it's just like in one ear, out the other ear. They don't process it, they don't hear it, they don't see it, they don't get it. But that's on them. You know, it's on them now to understand that I gave them a piece of gold and they don't see it. And that's not my fault. I tried, but that makes me the better student, because that makes me realize that there's people out there that are telling me things and I may not be processing them. And I need to go back and be like, wait, that person told me that. What did they mean by that? What does that mean? And I'm just like an intellectual. I like to think a lot. I like to think about what's going on in the world. I like to think about, especially if somebody is smarter than me. Like, I have clients who have millions and millions of dollars. They tell me something, or they say their little philosophy of life, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about how it works for their life, and then how I can flip it to work for my life, you know? And it's not that their motto is the way that I should live my life, but it's their motto is the way that they live their life relative to them, who they are. If this is like, not to be, but to be real, if this is a white man who went to Harvard and did this, and his motto is this, I'm like, that makes sense for you, but I'm not gonna live like that, because I'm a Black man who did this and went here, but I see the parallel of this motto and that motto relative to the way that I can live my life. But that only way I apply that, the only reason why I see that is because I'm a student. I'm not sitting here demanding that what he says is wrong because he's a white man and he did this and did that. He's not wrong in his approach. His approach is just his approach. And I need to understand how I can apply his approach to my life, and how his approach can be utilized by me, even though I'm on a different path. And and my life will be different, but I could still have that same mentality that he had that got him to be successful and got him to be in a space of like winning and feeling accomplished. I could do that too. So what is my motto then? You know, and so that's how I've been approaching life. And a lot of people, I don't think that they think that I think like that, you know? And so that's what I would want people to understand about me, is that I think deeply about everything that's going on. And I'm, as much as it may seem I'm superficial, as much as it may seem that I'm doing things simple, there's a lot of complexity behind the ways in which I'm working. And I'm always playing chess. I love chess. So a lot of people don't know that about me, that I play chess obsessively, and that I'm constantly always thinking about, you know, how one move is going to affect the next move, and what's the right move. Because there's always a right move. There's a good move, but then there's the right move. And that's what chess has taught me. There's a good move that you want to do. You see it, it's so easy, but then there's the right move that's going to make you win. And it's two different kind of plays, you know? And it's a trip to play chess. Chess is, to me, capoeira. What capoeira did for my body, chess does for my mind. And so when I think about like how I'm trying to be more agile mentally, you know, and think outside of the box that I've been raised in, you know, the way I came up certain ways, and people think a certain way when they were raised the way that I was raised. You know, you're supposed to think like this. You're supposed to act like this. Like being a rapper was something I'm supposed to do. You know, like I'm Black. How am I supposed to be rich? I got to be a rapper. But I went entirely against a lot of that stuff. And the thing is that, you know, chess has opened my mind to the reality of like, there's the move you want, and then there's the move that's going to work. And sometimes you can't see past the move you want versus the move that you know is going to work. So, sorry, that was long-winded, but yeah, hey, that's me in a nutshell right there, if I could put it like that.
Three things, Carlos. I submit to you three things. One, a lot of times when people say things about, oh, you're a know-it-all, you think you know anything, blah, 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 blah. What that really is, in a lot of instances, is their insecurities. You being intelligent, you living your life the way that you live your life, makes people feel insufficient or insecure. And it's not anything wrong that you're doing, that's actually something wrong with them. And that same principle of insecurity goes back to what we were talking about earlier in reference to the Jones brothers, with how people within the realm of martial arts or within fitness or within sports tend to want to challenge themselves because of those examples, whereas the other mindsets of siblings may feel a rivalry, a pessimistic rivalry, or a jealousy. Okay, so that's the first thing I submit to you. The second thing that I submit to you is, for the people that don't see your intellect, I would say that they're non-observant, because about 2 to 3 minutes into this conversation, maybe a minute and 30, behind the humor, I picked up on that pretty quickly. So I would say that's a matter of perception or lack of observation on their part. So keep shining, brother. And number 3, I mean, you dropped multiple jewels already, but send us out with some words of wisdom, and something. Give us some more. Give us some words of wisdom. Let's have some. What you got?
Man, okay. I don't know.
Anytime I got a question, I hit about injuries or anything sports, healing, flexibility. I hit up Carlos. If anyone doesn't know, I do. I hit him up for the years now. Yep. And I've been doing martial arts and movement my whole life. So I look to him for advice in some things, just like I look to you for advice in some things, Kendrick. So I'm really curious on this, man. I know you got some good wisdom, Carlos.
Man, it's funny to be put on the spot with it, to like, because
No pressure, bro.
No, it's funny because like in the class under a certain context, I just be just throwing the things out, you know, and just knowing what to say. But this is a funny one. So to me, this creates that student moment where I could be like, oh, what is a jewel I'd want to drop on somebody on a regular? Because I haven't really even been presented with this kind of a question. So this is a good question.
Carlos, I can phrase it another way that may help a little bit.
Okay.
What would you tell somebody that's going through a tough time in their life that needs encouragement?
Okay, damn, that's easy.
Good.
So if somebody, to me, Tupac has been one of my like main sources of, I don't even know, just like, I don't know. When I was coming up, I used to listen to Tupac, like just everything he said was just the gospel to me. Like he was just so smart, so wise beyond his years. And you know, I can't remember which song it's in, but he said, no matter what's going on, you know, you just you keep your chest up, you put your head up, keep your chest up, and you handle it, you know. And like that little quote right there has been one of the quotes that I kind of just live by. It's like, you know, no matter what's happening in your life, you know, you handle it. And as much as that may sound super simple, super basic, it's like, to me, the concept is like, the concept is really fixated around, it's on me. Like, it's on me, and you handle it. It's on me. You know, I can be out here and telling people what to do, and you can tell somebody what they got to do. Like we said earlier, like it takes a student to understand that they need to listen. Like I could tell you what you need to know. I could say that you could get through it. You're going to do it. You're going to blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, encouraging. Yeah, great. Okay. But no, really, it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what anybody says. I got to handle it. I got to deal with whatever is going on in my life. I got to handle it. And the perspective of, you know, pain has been one of the biggest things for me. You know, if I hurt my back, guess whose back's not hurting? Yours. My back hurts. So I got to figure out how to fix my back. Now, that may mean I need to go talk to somebody who's an acupuncturist, chiropractor, a doctor. I may need to go seek out ways to fix my back, but that's still on me. I could lay here and cry for the rest of my life about my back and never do anything about it. Or I could go seek help and be the student. I could go seek assistance. I could go figure out ways to help myself, right? And that's the essence of handling it, in my opinion, is now I got up, my back pain got me up to go figure out how to handle my back pain, right? So the essence, to me, one of the most important things for somebody who's going through something hard, and this isn't an easy answer, but this is the realest answer that you get, is it's on you. You know, it's like, it's on you. So what do you want to do? You know, do you want to sulk in your frustration and pain, and you want to cry about it for 24 hours or 72 hours or 2 weeks or 2 months? Or do you want to get up and go do something about it? You know, and what are you going to do about it? Whatever you do about it is better than doing nothing. I tell you that, because getting punched in the face helps you learn how to not get punched in the face. So if you make a mistake in the process of trying to figure it out, that's part of the process. So you winning anyway. You're never losing if you're trying. You're never losing if you're trying, because you're trying, and that's the win. So the reality of, if you're having a hard time, it's your hard time, not nobody else's. A lot of times I just feel like that becomes something that's not just as obvious as it seems, but a lot of times people think my hard time is also your hard time, and it's also their hard time, and it's also, you know, people need to help me out of my hard time. Nobody needs to help you do anything ever. You need to help yourself always. And if you're not the student and you're not willing to take the time to help yourself, then you're never going to get better, because it's on you. And to me, that's the essence of like one of the biggest things I try to instill in the people that I work with, because I'm doing my homework. I'm making sure my body works the way I want it to. And you can see that. You can see that I'm doing my homework. You're not doing your homework. Well, you're missing out. That's all I could say. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, because it's your life and your experience and your opportunity to grow. And if you don't want to do that, that's on you. But that's the quality, the amazingness of being human that we get, is that like a flower, it just gets to grow and bloom, and that's all it can do. But humans, we can do so much. We can make a flower grow on the side and a different flower over here. And we have so many opportunities to grow in ways other organisms don't. And if we limit ourselves and don't experience growth in those manners, I just feel like we're living such a pointless, boring life. Like, you don't want to grow. You don't want to see what it's like to have your bicep do something for you, not just have it look a certain way. You don't want to see what it's like to, love somebody. You don't want to see what it's like to support somebody or to be supported. You don't want to, you want to experience all the things. Like, I don't know. That's, to me, that's what I want to do. And when I feel about hard times, I feel like that's hard time is a good time in my opinion. Hard times are good times, because if you have a hard time, then the good times feel even better, right? So if you're not gonna have a good time. So I had this one perspective of, like, somebody was like, do you believe in heaven? Do you believe in hell? Do you believe in things like that? And I was like, if heaven existed, we would get sick of it in 2 weeks. That's how I look at it, because you get everything you want, everything is fantastic, everything is great. You're gonna be bored of that. Like, what's going on in hell? Let me go see what they're doing down there. Because you're gonna be like, I don't know. Imagine you had everything you ever wanted all the time. Anytime you snap your finger. To me, that's what I was presented as heaven. So if I get everything I want all the time, anytime I want it, do you think you're not gonna get bored of that? Maybe it won't take a week or two. Maybe it takes 200 years, but it's eternity, right? Eventually you'll be like, I don't want everything that I want. I love the hard times. The hard times make the good times better. And the hard times make you know you're alive, because you got to fucking fight. And if you don't like the fight in life, then I don't feel like you like life. I don't feel like you like the reality of what this life is bringing to you. And I feel like you need to reevaluate the reality that life is about the fight. It's the best part is getting knocked down and being like, nah, I'm gonna get back up, and I'm gonna come back at you a little differently this time, and come at you like a spider monkey this time. Last time it was like a lion, But the reality is, it's like the fight, the struggles are what give us the best parts. Because once you defeat a struggle, you feel that sense of success, and so you'll never get that in a space where you always get what you want. How can you feel the moment of success if you don't struggle? I don't know. But Steph Curry was bawling his eyes out this last championship. I think that was a great example of how insanely proud of himself he felt, because of all of the obstacles he had to deal with the past 2 years. He didn't have to deal with that as much before, but this championship seemed like so much more impactful to him, because he was able to overcome a lot more obstacles. So it was so much more satisfying, because it actually involved him trying his hardest. If you're trying your best and you still fail, and you keep trying and then you succeed, I don't know how. I think that's the greatest sensation that humans can have. And to me, a microcosm of that is playing chess. I don't care how, I don't care what you think you play chess, you're gonna get whooped, and you keep trying, and eventually you win at chess. It is a really, really great feeling. Same as boxing, where same as these type of sports, but it's very, very, very validating to be bad, to struggle, to have hard times, and to overcome them. So when I think about hard times, when I think about somebody having a hard time, I think about I'm gonna handle it. So that's just
how can people follow you? Give us your socials.
Lowbacks _ at Lowbacks on Instagram. I post a lot of funny stuff. I've been doing that recently just because social media is a joke. So, but my website.
They don't appreciate your amazing technical stretches, back healing stretches he posts all the time for free. He posts stuff, Kendrick. I'm like, he should be paying for this. I freeze frame and take videos of his videos on my phone so I can watch it later because they're so good. But anyways, how can people get a hold of you on Instagram? Say it again. Your handle?
At _Lowbacks.
Okay.
LOWBACKS. And then my website is lowbacks.com.
Well, thank you, man. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And
thank you guys for having me.
Honor having you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Great meeting you, Carlos. Thanks for everything. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, Bear. Nice to meet you, Kendrick. This was cool.
And when you're back in the Bay, can you hit me up so we can train, Carlos? There's some
when I'm back on the 19th. So let's get it going. And if you guys want some music, because I remember you weren't gonna do this, now you're doing it again. So I can try to help maybe make some music for you guys if you want.
That'd be awesome.
Great.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks
for
extending that.
Y'all.
Stay safe. Keep shining, brother.
Oh, you guys too. This is fantastic.